One of the keys to PSG's success against Spurs, despite fighting back from 2 goals down, was the positioning of Ousmane Dembele. And a lot of that stemmed through Spurs' press and how they looked to approach this game against PSG. They played in more of a 3-4-1-2, and they pressed in that manner to ensure that PSG couldn't dominate the center of the pitch. And they looked to have their front two looking to close down PSG center backs. They had their wing backs closing down the PSG fullbacks. And then in the midfield zone, they had Sarr stepping towards Vitinha, and then Bentancur and Paulinho dealing with the PSG shuttlers. That leaves 3v3 between the center backs and the PSG attacking players, and it was Dembele who was often dropping off deeper into pockets of space in that midfield zone, and that sometimes in towards his own half to get on the ball. And the key here was that Romero wasn't stepping towards him, so you would end up seeing Dembele being able to receive the ball free in that midfield zone or in his own third, and then he was simply operating as a creator, looking to pick out teammates breaking in behind. It was often the wide players that he was looking to play in, or the fullbacks looking to make runs in beyond the Spurs backline. And he did a very good job of picking up the ball in these spaces where he knew Romero wouldn't step towards him. And because Spurs had that 3v3 in that midfield zone, they weren't leaving their markers to step towards Dembele. Now, there were aspects where Spurs were able to deal with that threat due to the fact that Vitinha was dropping off deeper, and then one of the front two could simply step on him if the PSG center backs weren't on the ball, and that would leave Sarr free in that midfield zone. Yet prior to PSG making major changes to their approach, it was Dembele who was getting the freedom to receive the ball in that midfield zone, pick out runners out in the wider areas. He could drop off deeper into the midfield zone knowing that Romero wouldn't step with him, and serve as an option to bypass that Spurs press and then help build the attack in transition, or simply find different areas where he knew Spurs center backs wouldn't step towards him, and then look to pick out runners running off their man, whether it be the fullbacks or the midfield runners looking to break forward in towards attacking positions. And then when you look to one of PSG's best chances in that opening half, it was simply Dembele dropping in towards his own half to receive the ball from the center back. PSG bypassed the press, Romero's pulled out because he doesn't step tight, and then he locates Barcola running off his marker in towards the final third, plays the ball in towards him, and Barcola breaks free into Spurs' penalty area, but simply lacks the execution. This simply sums up what PSG were doing right in that opening half, but it was when Dembele was getting his teammates in towards those positions, they simply weren't being able to execute or find teammates when they broke in towards those wider areas.